Hi, we're glad you're here, and we're about to begin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. KenCast After Dark. Stimulating conversations all night long. And here's your host, Ken Cole.
Hello, everyone. Happy holidays, and welcome to another KenCast After Dark. Today, we're going to have a fun time discussing what has become a Christmas classic, a movie that many of us love. And if you don't love it already, perhaps you'll enjoy diving into it and learning more about it, and maybe you'll give it another shot. We are talking about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I know a lot of people are fans of the vacation movies from the 80s. They have that very unique vibe. And today we're going to just go into the movie, the history of the movie, what we think of it. And I'd love to hear your comments about it. Now, for this discussion, we have an amazing guest. He is an expert in these types of movies. He's also a huge fan of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you, Drew Rohaly. Drew, how are you? Great to see you.
I'm doing great, and I'm excited to be invited on the KenCast and talking about one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite Christmas movies, and then one of my favorite movies in general. It's a must-watch for me every year, every Christmas season. I already watched it, a couple days ago again, just in anticipation of this episode. So I'm just happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Ken.
Absolutely. And it is a pleasure. And Drew, I think I spy a really amazing sweater that you're wearing right now.
I'll stand up just to show you all, but this is my my Santa Claus with a lumberjack Santa Claus with a flannel shirt. My boss at work calls me the god of flannel. Like Thor's the god of thunder, I'm the god of flannel. So
that's great. Well, it makes me think of warmth during the chilly holiday season. So amazing sweater, Drew. I absolutely love
Thank
it.
you.
Everyone, as you know, or may not yet know, Drew is co-host of the amazing movie podcast called The Last Row Podcast. And they actually have their holiday movie that they're talking about this year. Drew, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about The Last Row Podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. I have a movie podcast called The Last Row. As Ken mentioned, I co-host it with one of my best friends, Badway. So he and I'm one of two parts of that show. We do a lot of 80s, 90s, 2000s movies that you forgot you loved, rewatchable type movies. We're in the middle of a holiday month that we're doing. So we actually started it this past week with Four Christmases, which is not necessarily a classic, but we've done a bunch of holiday movies. So we figured, why not try to do a holiday movie month? We've done a whole bunch of holiday classics. We've done Home Alone. We've done Jingle All the Way. So if you guys like holiday movies, check us out, thelastrowpodcast.com. All of our episodes are out there, and we're going to have another holiday themed episode coming up this upcoming week. So we'll have sort of like a full month of holiday movies here for you all.
Wow. Now, are you able to tell us what movie you're going to be doing?
We haven't decided yet. So if you guys have any suggestions, check it out. We've got a couple ideas, but we haven't decided yet.
Absolutely. Well, along those lines, we love our people who are watching live and they jump into the live chat. We're going to say hi in just a second, but for everyone in the live chat, we have a question tonight. What is your favorite Christmas movie? And be sure to share that in the live chat, and we'll talk about that. And maybe one of those movies will serve as an inspiration for the Last Row Podcast show. So great to see everyone. It's amazing. We've got Marianella. How you doing, Marianella? Great to see you. Robana, thank you for being a channel member. Great to see you, Robana. Jay Wiggin. Good to see you, Jay. I love that picture of Terry Silver doing the silver bullet. Terry Johnson. Good to see you, Terry. Melissa. Great to see you, Melissa. Hi, Marty. Marty Banks. All the way from Michigan. Merry Christmas to you too as well. Josh, good to see you. Hello, Mr. Cole, Mr. Rohaly, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the Dinotalk Club.
It's an exclusive club.
Yeah, very, very exclusive. And wonder how those Dinotalks Christmas parties go as well. Terry says, awesome Christmas sweater.
Thank you, Terry.
Dave Schrock,
hey, Dave.
Brilliant filmmaker, DP of Cobra Cole, huge fan of Terry Silver. Thank you, Dave, and happy holidays to you as well. Robana says, it's been years since I've seen Christmas Vacation, so it's going to be fun listening to you guys chat all about it. Absolutely. Robana says, Elf. That's hers.
It's a great movie.
And it's a great movie. That's a really great
I love
movie.
Will Ferrell.
Indeed. Gabe says, by my count, it's 11 days to Christmas. It's coming. It's coming, isn't it? Bishu Daily, my favorite one is Home Alone.
Classic.
Very good. Yes.
Classic.
And you've done both of the Home Alone movies on Last Row, right?
You know, it's funny. We actually started one of our earliest episodes. It might be episode 5. We did Home Alone 2. We actually never did the original, and I feel like I don't know if we can go back and do it. I'm not sure.
Yes.
But
now,
yeah.
Before we launch into this, Josh has a movie suggestion, Drew. Batman Returns is a great Christmas action movie, though it was released in summer. The Cat, the Penguin, and the Bat. For me, Kiss from the Rose by Seal from Batman Forever is a great Christmas song. What do you think of, there's been talk about Die Hard and all these, like, are they really Christmas movies? That's another one, is Batman Returns. Do you consider Batman Returns to be a true Christmas movie?
I actually do, because it happens during Christmas time. And I forgot what episode I did this on one of our shows. We had this really debate about what makes a Christmas movie a Christmas movie. And, we had an argument for Die Hard being a Christmas movie and then against it. But I feel like if Christmas plays an integral part of the movie, whether it's why people are getting together, in that movie, you get the tree lighting ceremony with Max Schreck and all of the circus clowns and people that fight in Gotham Square or whatever it's called. I definitely think it's a Christmas movie. And we also did that one too. So go check that one out. I think it was episode 97. But that is a good Christmas movie, I think. And I also think Die Hard is a Christmas movie too, for the record.
Excellent. And we have someone else who agrees with you, Peter Bonestack from
Peter.
Cobra Kai Companion, and also Podstalgic. Hi, Peter. Good to see you. Yes, Batman Returns is a Christmas movie. And then he also suggests Edward Scissorhands.
I agree with that too. I agree with that for sure.
Ben Metello, great to see you. Favorite Christmas movie? Yes, Christmas Vacation. Yeah, we can't wait to jump into this. Terry says the original Miracle on 34th Street or Nightmare Before Christmas. Yes,
there you
go. More compliments for your sweater, Drew.
Thank you.
It's a very Canadian sweater, apparently.
I had another one that I was thinking about wearing. It's a Stegosaurus with Santa Claus riding that on top of the Stegosaurus, but my wife has commandeered that one. That's her sweater now, not mine anymore. So
that's great. Great suggestions. Peter says Scrooged, and Dave
Classic.
Strock agrees. Yes.
One of the best.
Yes.
Bill Murray forever.
Indeed. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to everyone. Yeah, we hope you're having a great holiday season. And then Melissa says, my favorite movie is The Santa Claus, all 3 of them. Excellent. And then Melissa, I'm interested to hear if you enjoy the new series, The Santa Clauses, and if you've seen that. Bishu Daily. He says, hi. Bishu Daily, have you seen Love Hard? I haven't. Have you seen that, Drew?
No.
Interesting. 'Tis the season to be merry. And Drew, as we know, Mary's my name. That's my name. Yeah, right. Brent McAloney. My goodness. Now, guys, I have to stop this. Brent is a very old friend of mine. When I was in college, my freshman year and sophomore year in college, Brent was our suite mate. I think of him when I think of the holidays. Everything that's fun, kind of like exploring the world through college for the first time. And he is an amazing meteorologist, working on a national level, gives tornadoes their ratings. It's an honor to have you, Brent. Good to see you, and happy holidays. But yeah, Bad Santa. That was very good, irreverent movie. Yes, indeed. Gabe agrees.
That's awesome.
Indeed. And the Polar Express, that's a good one. Melissa says she loves the Santa Clauses series, and it just got renewed for a 2nd season.
I haven't seen it. I've seen the first Santa Claus. We did an episode on that one too a while back, but I've never actually seen the 2nd one or the 3rd one. So I don't know. You guys have to tell me, will I not know what's going on if I watch the series only having seen the first one? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can do that.
I know I haven't seen it either. So, but I've been hearing lots of good things. Muppet Christmas Carol. Yes, that's a great one. I remember seeing that in the theaters. You're very welcome, Brent. Happy holidays to you. Josh says movies with snow and small town for me are Christmas movie, Fargo series of movie, A Simple Plan, Affliction, and Reindeer
Ooh,
Games.
Reindeer
That's
Games.
a
That's
nice
good one.
list.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a great list. Jay Wiggins says, "Can Brent rate the day after tomorrow's storm?" Oh my gosh! Hey Brent, if you're still watching, how would you rate that storm from the movie The Day After Tomorrow?
I could tell you,
Because you
it
did
got a
that on Last Row
20. Yeah, it got a 20 on the villain scale. So as a villain, it's a perfect 20 out of 20 on the on the last row villain scale. But I don't know how it stands on like the actual meteorological systems.
Right. And that was the only movie villain to get a perfect score, right?
Perfect. Yeah, even Terry Silver
Wow.
didn't get a perfect score, although he probably deserved it.
That's great. Well, we'll watch for oh wow, Brent Brent says clearly an EF6 or EF7. I love it. And hey, Brent, if you ever want to rate a tornado just for fun as an EF6, that'd be amazing. Yes. Arkansas Dave, when's your next Cobra Kai live? That's right. So tonight, guys, we are going to jump into Christmas Vacation. This will be a Christmas Vacation live stream discussion. We're going to be having probably this weekend. We're going to be having a members only stream, and then we're kind of waiting on news for Cobra Kai. Either that, or we can, come up with a good topic to talk about Cobra Kai. I know Drew and I are, and obviously Peter. Everyone's, we're fans, but I think we're hoping for a season 6 announcement. Maybe.
Something.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, some news. I don't know. Hopefully so. Anyway, so many great questions. Thanks for all your questions, guys. Drew, I think we need to get into our discussion. We have a lot to talk about tonight about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Before we do, bridging the gap, I know we have a lot of Cobra Kai Karate Kid fans watching. We had this amazing meme from the meme master, Cobra Kai Wisdom today. Check it out. So you awesome. Cobra Kai fans, it's great. You'll get this immediately, but obviously just the first time I've seen Christmas Vacation and Cobra Kai combined, this is pretty funny.
That was awesome.
So thank you, Mike. Thank you for doing this. Very, very cool. So Drew, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. If you could get us started by giving us your thoughts on this movie, when you first saw it and what it means to you.
Man, I can't remember exactly when I first saw it, but I just remember watching it at Christmas time, like since I was young. And whether it was on TV or whether we rented it or something, I've always been a fan of, Chevy Chase and just the National Lampoons movies in general, like Animal House, anything else in that vein. And there's something that just combines the comedic aspects and sort of some of the slapstick comedy, but it also has like a really sentimental feel too, where you almost experience this movie in different waves as you age yourself. So as a kid, right, you're watching the movie, you're sort of experiencing it because it's funny and people are mad at each other or whatever. There's some crazy things that are happening. As you get older and you have your own family, right? You almost feel like you're Clark Griswold now. And it's like, do you want your perfect Christmas? And what is the perfect Christmas? And what does that mean to people? So I feel like there's layers to the movie. And that's why I think I like it so much, because I think you can relate to it on multiple levels. But it's definitely become a staple in my house. If I'm ever, ready to feel Christmas, this is like the first one that I start. I might even watch it like multiple times throughout the Christmas season or holiday season. I just like it that much. And I feel like if it was on TV, if anyone ever flips the channels these days, I don't know. I don't. But if you do and it's on, like I'm going to stop and watch it. So I don't know. Did you grow up watching this, or is this like a newer thing for you?
It's one of those, I don't know if you can remember way back when they had those pay-per-view movie channels, and they would have like previews that would run all day long, and they'd have like, I don't know, 5 to 10 movies that they'd show on pay-per-view. And I remember I'd watch those channels and I'd watch those previews, and Christmas Vacation was one of those previews, and I saw the trailer over and over again. And then I think they had one of those, I don't know if it was like an HBO free weekend or something like that, but they were showing National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and that's the first time I saw it. And then after that, it was on TV a number of times. And then, eventually, with Netflix and DVD and all that kind of thing, got to see it again. And then Obviously, it's on streaming now. So yeah, it's probably since the early 90s I've been watching it every so often. And it really kind of captures the spirit of Christmas for me. So I'm very excited to talk about the movie with you.
Thank you.
Now, Drew and everyone watching, I want to take you on a trip through time. Okay. I want to take you on a trip to the video store. So, Drew and I, like when we were young, and I actually worked at a video store, that was my first job. But when we grew up, the way you would watch a movie at home is you would actually go to the video store. And some of you watching now did this. Some of you who are younger may not have any clue of what we're talking about. So we're gonna do it tonight. Drew, you and I, we're going to Blockbuster, okay?
Oh,
We're going to
man.
pick out an amazing Christmas movie. Okay. And then so we go in and, it's not uncommon to spend what? Maybe 30, 45, 60 minutes looking for a movie.
Man, dude, you're bringing me back, Ken. This is like I'm having flashbacks, and I need to say this, like, I don't know if people agree with me or not, but I really do miss Blockbuster and the video store in general. I feel like you can't recreate that experience flipping through like a screen on, like Netflix or something like that. And look, I am happy that we have the convenience of Netflix, and I realize the economy dictates what what needs to be there or not. But I've
Right.
had so many good memories of just hanging out with my friends, going to Blockbuster, browsing the aisles, physically picking up the movie, taking a look at the case, and figuring out, is this the one you want to watch? Like, album art or box art at that time was so
Mhm.
important, and they needed the catchy cover to the movie. And I just miss that experience walking through on like a Friday night, just trying to pick out the movie and finding out what you want and which section are you going to go in. Like, it's doesn't exist anymore, and it's unfortunate. Really, it is. So, I loved
It's
it.
too bad. Yeah, it was wonderful, wasn't it? And it was great working at a video store. That's something that young teenagers who are movie fans could do and get free rentals out of it. But let's for those of us who haven't been to a video store in a long time, let's relive the experience. So we walk into Blockbuster, we go to the comedy section, and then we see a number of Christmas movies, and then we come across a VHS tape, and this VHS tape is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Now, this is kind of something you're talking about, the experience of not only just seeing the movie, but physically picking up the movie
Yep.
and looking at it, holding it, smelling it, and then flipping it over. And you'd have this really and we're going to read this for those of you who haven't seen Christmas Vacation or haven't seen it in a while, but this is truly a lost art form. The writing of the summary that will get you to either buy or rent the movie. So I don't know, Drew. Do you want me to read it, or would you like to read it?
You do the honors. I'll follow along. I'll be the person with you in Blockbuster. You take a crack
Okay,
at
great.
it.
Okay, guys. I'm going to read the back of the box. You can read along with me. It's Christmas time for the Griswolds, a season for giving, for Yuletide carols, for Christmas tree lights glowing brightly. Hey, wait, this one's not glowing. It's on fire. Yes, Christmas is the perfect season for Clark Griswold, Chevy Chase, and his family. Clark's a disaster waiting to happen. Before you can sing fa la 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 la, he's decking the halls with howls of folly in the box office hit National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It was Wally World or bust in National Lampoon's Vacation, Stonehenge unhinged in National Lampoon's European Vacation. Now Clark wants to make sure his family enjoys, quote, the most fun-filled old-fashioned Christmas ever. Uh-oh. You have to see it to believe it. There are 25,000 lights on the Griswold rooftop, an exploding turkey on the Griswold table, a dozen or so more turkeys, including Randy Quaid as a total gross-out Cousin Eddie, as guests inside the Griswold home, and a SWAT team taking battle stations outside. Clark Griswold strikes again, and so does Vacation series creator John Hughes, Uncle Buck, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You'll love it. There we go. Wow. That was, it's like there's a lot of effort. You don't read those types of descriptions anymore.
No, I mean they went overboard with the puns too, in a good way. I feel they worked those in, and it's good too. And I like how they put the quote up top with the different reviewers or like news, and you don't really see that either. I mean, you get the snippets on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that, but the cover art too is a lost art form, because when you think about just marketing in general, like you're gonna see different thumbnails on Netflix than I might based on your interests. They're just trying to get you. But this, they had to figure out like what is the best picture that we could do to make to get everybody, and how are we going to get everybody by walking down the aisle? It's got to stand out. It's got to really showcase. And then the back, right? What picture do they include? How do they do this? It's a lost art form, unfortunately. This is, I sound like an old man right now. I realize that, but I really do miss this. And I really do miss walking down the aisles and looking this up, picking it up, holding it. I still have a bunch of DVDs and Blu-rays. Like, I like to have physical media, because when licenses get revoked and they just take things off, like they can't take the DVD from you. So I actually
Right.
like having physical media still, like an old man.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you who are into advanced physical media, they just released a 4K remaster restoration of this movie, and supposedly it's really nicely done. Like, it looks really good. So that's great. Um, well, Drew, thank you for sharing your thoughts on this. Yeah, I totally agree. It's a lost art form. I miss it. I wish it would come back. And I go into the store and I see vinyl records. They're back. So I don't know. I have just this feeling, this hope that we might kind of go back a little bit towards physical media and this experience of video stores.
I certainly hope so. It's funny because I've seen a lot of people collecting VHS now, and like I can understand collecting vinyl because there's a certain quality to it, but VHS like didn't really look that good, did it? You need,
No,
you
not really.
needed like a certain kind of VCR and a TV, I guess, to really appreciate that. But man, it wasn't so great, was it?
No, it's if you go back, VHS was about, we talk about HD being 1080p and 4K is 2160p. DVD was 480p. VHS was 240 lines of
Yeah.
resolution. Yeah, but
I
it still had its charms to it. So
I recently
no, no.
I recently saw a video on, it was Linus Tech Tips, and they had some like HD VHS. I don't know if you've seen that video.
Yes,
Did you watch
yes,
that?
I
It was
have.
actually kind
I
of mind
did.
blowing to see the picture quality of that. I was like, it's basically like high frame rate, I guess, is what they were doing. It was high speed, but man,
Yes.
it's kind of wild how that looked.
Right, and it came out at, like, the exact wrong time. It's like, it was so good, it was well ahead of DVD in quality, but it's like yeah, it didn't have, like, the button features necessarily like DVDs had, and I guess the industry knew that they would come out with an HD version of a DVD, and so, yeah, you still have to rewind it, but the picture quality was just incredible on that. So,
Yeah.
that's yeah, that's, Arkansas Dave says, "Are there any outtakes or deleted scenes in the 4K?" No. And that is something that a lot of people have been complaining about, because there's a scene in this movie, and we'll kind of get into this movie at the beginning, that's on the back of a lot of, say, DVD covers, when they're going to get the Christmas tree, because in the movie, they're out in the woods hiking to find the perfect Christmas tree. But there is a scene that was written and shot where they're actually shopping for a Christmas tree at the shop, because when they fly over and they crash into the sign that says trees, that's where they were going to buy a Christmas tree. So there was a scene shot, but it was totally cut out, and we still haven't seen it to this day. So people have been wanting that.
What a shame. I wish we had
What a shame.
that.
I know, it seems like there'd be a way to put that in there. So let's get into this movie, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Okay, so here's the poster, which we've seen before. And so I am just going to kind of run through some things about this movie, Drew, and then just jump in with your thoughts at any time.
Sure.
Okay, so this movie was released on December 1st of 1989. If you want to see it now, it's currently available on HBO Max. It's the third vacation movie, and then this one's directed by Jeremiah S. Chechik, the first film he did as a director, and he'd done music videos for Van Halen and Hall & Oates. And then after this, he directed movies like Benny and June and Tall Tale, The Unbelievable Adventures of Pecos Bill. And he's done like a lot of TV work since then, directing for TV. This is the Only movie along with the original that was written by John Hughes. So John Hughes, who did Ferris Bueller, Planes, Trains, Automobiles, Uncle Buck, Home Alone. He wrote this movie and the original one.
You can
And
definitely
he's
tell too. You can definitely tell.
yeah, yeah. It's just he's just magic at that,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
Hughes is amazing. I mean, I can't imagine like anyone not liking those movies, and he did such a phenomenal job with all these movies. They all came out, and I feel like they had a certain feel to them. And I feel like the first one feels like this one, even though it's in Christmas. It's the writing is so good, the dialogue and the way that we've talked about this before, right? The way he writes
Mhm.
characters and the dynamic of all of the different family members here, like it's masterclass, I feel, in a family movie. So I think it was phenomenal. You could definitely tell he did it.
Yes, 100%. And so of its day, it had a budget of $25 million, which in 1989, that's actually a really decent budget,
Yeah.
you know. And you can tell, like, the movie looks good. It has like these amazing set pieces. And then it grossed $73.3 million. So it got back about 3 times its budget. So it was considered at least a moderate success.
Yeah.
So the Rotten Tomatoes score is 70%.
Too low.
Too low.
Too low.
IMDb says 7.5 out of 10.
As Badway would say, way too low.
Way too low.
Too low.
And on Letterboxd, it's 3.5 out of 5.
That's also too low. But I have
It's really
actually
low.
Letterboxd. That's not bad because people on there are very much polarized on a lot of these things. But I do feel like that's all right. But it's still too low in my opinion. It's a 5 out of 5 to me.
Okay, so those are kind of the stats on this movie. Obviously, this is part of not only John Hughes's pantheon, but more specifically, the Vacation series with Chevy Chase as Clark Griswold. Where do you think this movie sits amongst those?
That is a loaded question, but it's a really good question. So I'm just gonna start by saying I've never really seen European Vacation all the way through, and that's might be
Mm,
blasphemous, and I shouldn't probably admit it, but I'm a man of honesty, so I'll admit it.
yeah, of
I've
course.
wanted to watch it, but it never got me. The first one is a classic, right? I love the first one. I think it's very good. And I have a very soft spot for Vegas Vacation. I just
Mhm.
think it's a fun movie. I would say it's hard to argue that the first isn't the best because it is such a classic, but I'm just gonna say that I think this one's the best. And I think the first one is the second best, but it's so close. And it might be because I'm in the holiday cheer and it's a holiday season and I've got my holiday blinders on, but I just feel like this one's so good for a variety of reasons. And I'm gonna put that out there. It might be a hot take, but I think this is the best one.
Drew, I'd agree with you. And I think there's a reason for that. I think the original Vacation movie, National Lampoon's Vacation, was very good, hugely popular at the time. It was of its time. However, I personally don't think it's necessarily aged as well as some other 80s comedies. And this movie, not only is it funny, but it seems to have much more of a timeless quality to it.
I agree.
So I really think this one has held up over time. And I would definitely put it above, for me, the original National Lampoon's Vacation. And I agree with you about Vegas Vacation. You could say that maybe as far as filmmaking craft, it's maybe not up there with the original and this one, but man, that's funny. And in a way, I kind of enjoy it more than the original National
I
Lampoon's
do
Vacation.
too. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
Nick Papagiorgio, how are you gonna that and the whole casino scene with Randy Quaid and Chevy Chase and playing like the concept of playing war at a casino, like and guess a
Yes.
number, like it's just genius to me. Like it's stupid, but it's up my alley. Like I love Vegas Vacation. It's
Yeah.
severely underrated in my opinion. Severely
I,
underrated.
I think so too. And for those of you who are Karate Kid fans in the audience, if you watch Vegas Vacation, the high roller gambler who calls him Nick Papagiorgio, that's Jerry Weintraub, who was the producer of the Karate Kid movies. So,
That's
and he was
awesome.
also the referee in Karate Kid 1, or the announcer. So there you go. Lots of great comments, guys. Arkansas Dave says, "Hey guys, have a Merry Christmas to you and your families." Was it the actress from Seinfeld's first movie role?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yes. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and we are going to talk about that. We're going to get right back to that because that's kind of a huge, interesting part of the discussion for this movie as well. Ben says, I saw a clip of Siskel and Ebert reviewing the movie, and they hated it. They said it wasn't funny at all and didn't think anyone should go see it. Man, were they wrong. It's a Christmas classic. You know what else they were really wrong about? And it was the following year was Home Alone. Go and watch their initial review of Home Alone, 2 thumbs down, and then watch.
It's funny to hear that now.
It is, isn't it? You can watch like a month or 2 later after it was this massive hit. You can go and watch them discuss if they were wrong in their first review because like everyone loved it. It was this big smash. It was one of the first times I've seen them try to figure out, like, did we get this wrong? Like, how come we didn't like it? And so I'm wondering if it's that kind of thing. Maybe they didn't get some of John Hughes' stuff.
Did they walk back on it? Did they walk back on what they said for Home Alone or no? Did they own it? I'm curious because I didn't see that.
They continue to own, like, I don't know if they necessarily changed their opinion, but they were very humble, I think, humbled by the fact that everyone loved it. And they were maybe trying to figure out why they said they didn't like it and why everyone else liked it.
That's
and so
funny.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out if you're movie fans. Both those are on YouTube.
There's a Twitter account that I follow. It's like, I think it's called Freezing Cold Takes. I forgot the exact name of it, but it's mostly about sports, but it's stuff like that where people are just dead wrong on what they say and they bring them back up. And that's a freezing cold take to me. That needs to be in the book. So
that's great. That's great. Jay Wiggins says Christmas Vacation gets the A+++ that Ralphie was going for in Christmas Story. Yeah, very good. It's interesting. I think the reason why those 2 movies work are similar in a way. Melissa says, Ken and Drew. Yeah, National Lampoons is also one of my favorites. I haven't seen it in a while, but I know it signifies how crazy things can get when you're celebrating the holidays with family. Exactly. Yes, that's a great point. Josh says, we need a Christmas KenCast with Bigfoot like Chewbacca in Star Wars Christmas special episode.
I like that.
Oh my gosh, that would be a lot of fun. Terry says, critics are always saying the opposite of fans. And Rabana says, what do critics know anyway? Yeah,
I agree with you.
Point. So Drew, Arkansas Dave brought up Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who's in this movie. This is like, and I think we were talking about this, and this movie came out right during the first season of Seinfeld. So it was before she became very famous. But she plays this unforgettable character named Margo, who has a relationship with Todd. And they're these yuppie neighbors of Clark Griswold. And what are your thoughts of this? Because this is unique. It almost seems very 80s in a way, this type of concept. But what are your thoughts on Margo and Todd?
I love them in this movie, and I love the dynamic between them and Clark. And fun fact, I think I saw, whether it's true or not, on IMDb, but I think their house is the house that was Riggs' house from Lethal Weapon. I think is the same house. But I like them, and I like the dynamic between them because I think it's fun. Because especially the scene where Clark's cutting something with the chainsaw or whatever it was, and then they walk out and he's like, I'll tell you where to put it, like basically. And there's this dynamic between them. Like, I almost need a prequel where they're in this house and the dynamic between them and them as neighbors. They are definitely yuppies, and they have that total 80s vibe where they've got the CD player and all the cool like technology, and they're wearing the space jogging suits to sweat it out and into aerobics and all the 80s fads. And there's just something really funny about that, and I love the dynamic between them. And I love how Clark's got his crazy family there, and it's just the 2 of them. They couldn't be more opposite. Their idea of spending Christmas is doing whatever, going for a jog, and then what did she say? Taking a shower before
right, exactly.
But I love it. And I think she's perfectly cast too. She does a great job. And I don't know the actor for Todd and whether he was in anything else, but I thought he was great too. And I loved how even within their coupleship or their relationship, they had a weird dynamic too. I think they were great. And it's like, in a way, they're yuppies, and I think the audience isn't necessarily a yuppie, or we're not necessarily yuppies, but you're sort of living vicariously through them, and you're seeing the experience of what the hell's going on at this house through them, like the ice shooting through the window and all these random things. Then the guy dumping out his septic tank from his camper into the sewer system, like it's like, what the hell's going on over here? You know, that's why I like them so much. That's they're my favorite in the movie.
Oh yeah, they're great. Brent points out the quote, "Why is the carpet wet, Todd?" It's great. From that scene you were just talking about with the ice going through the window, destroying their CD player and stereo. And Jay Wiggins says, "I love how Margot's
Yes,
definitely the alpha, punches Todd right over the couch."
I love
Yeah,
that too.
100%. And these characters have really caught on. We have let's see. I wanted to share this screen. If you can look at this, people dress up as Margot and Todd. They dressed up, I guess, for Christmas, but also for Halloween. You can see everyone dressed up in their very unique. What are these sort of like space running suits or something like that?
Yeah,
I don't
it's like
even know
this
what they're supposed to
sweated
do.
out. I think it's like it's almost like, I mean, it's not healthy to wear that. It's basically to sweat it out, and like you basically lose weight, right? By basically killing yourself, like
Oh
dehydrating
no.
yourself, I guess. Maybe there's a place for them, but it's funny that they were wearing that. And then she had that giant water bottle and everything. I think that's so funny.
Yeah, that's great. But we look at them and obviously they seem kind of snobbish and yuppie-ish and a little off-putting and oh, we wouldn't really like to have them as a neighbor. But what do you say? Who's the worst neighbor here? Are they really that bad a neighbor, or is Clark Griswold a bad neighbor?
I mean, to be honest, like, what did they really do? They didn't really do anything. They kind of mind their own business. If you're living, so you could take one of two sides, right? You could take the side of, hey, this guy just loves Christmas and he just wants to make his house look nice. But if you're sitting next to him and I don't even know what the lumens or the wattage is on those bulbs, like if that's coming in through your window and there's like a crappy RV parked on your thing and a guy's dumping in the sewer, like I don't know that I would want that guy as a neighbor either, even though he's just a nice guy. He's just trying to take care of his family. So is he really that bad? I don't know. But I do feel like they kind of mind their own business. They don't really bother anybody unless they're the ones that are like part of the HOA that are telling everybody what to do. Who knows? But I feel like they don't bother anybody, and he's more like making a racket and a mess. I don't know. What do you think?
You know, for me, kind of at my age, I think, I've had a few neighbors, and really, it's nice to have very friendly neighbors. It's wonderful. It's nice, I think, that they would kind of mind their own business in a way. Like, it seems like they'd be the type of people who really wouldn't bug you. Um, I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah.
so I think the only time they're kind of like in conflict is when boundaries are crossed. Like you would talk to the guy next door if he took out a chainsaw and was cutting up a tree on the front yard. Like that would be something that a neighbor would do. But I don't think that they would really mess with anyone else. I think they were happy in their own lives, and yeah, I don't think they were necessarily that bad. Obviously, their house sustains damage as well. So I think even though we might not like them as people, I don't think we could say they're bad neighbors.
Oh man, and I agree. Jay put a comment here. Don't forget they're dealing with pool parties soon. You're right, Jay. Like imagine that. Like that's gonna be summer problems. So I mean, look, have fun in the pool, but with what's going on here just for Christmas alone, imagine the summer. It's gonna be nuts there. So they're gonna be real
It
mad.
is. And we can kind of like jump right into sorry, the jump right into the pool discussion. Get that? Um sorry, that was bad. I think Terry's asking what's in this. I don't know.
That's awesome.
But so Clark he has put down, I think he said $7,500 already on this pool that he wants to install in the backyard. And that's kind of the big problem and why he wants his Christmas bonus, is because he doesn't really have the money to cover that he's spent on the
Oh
deposit on the
man.
pool. So is this It is this a smart thing
No,
to
not
do?
at all.
No.
What an
Okay.
idiot. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I have to say this. What an idiot. And here's the thing, and I'm not gonna be the corporate shill and take the side of the man here, but it's called a bonus for a reason. Bonus is not guaranteed, buddy. Like, it's not. I mean, and he even when he's talking to Mr. Shirley, no, I'm not gonna be the guy that's sitting here firing everybody, but I'll say this, Mr. Shirley, right? Maybe you can't get a bonus this year. If profits are up, okay, that's bad on them. But maybe they're going through tough times. Like, you don't know how the company's going. You can't guarantee that. Now, listen, I think he should get his bonus. It's better than the Jelly of the Month Club, although it's the gift that keeps on giving. It's one of those things where you just can't count on that. Like, you can't count on a bonus. It's a bonus. It's an addition. So I'm sorry. I hate to take Shirley's side here. Not Shirley's side, but very irresponsible, in my opinion. Very irresponsible. I don't know. Am I on the evil side here?
I don't think so. I've honestly never worked a job where I got like a Christmas bonus. So it's always been a unique concept to me. When I saw this as a kid, I'm like, what is this Christmas bonus? Like, is this like every company just gives you all this money at Christmas? I don't know. But that's not the way the world works. And I don't know if you've ever gotten a Christmas bonus before, but it just doesn't seem like something you should do. And it's interesting that he like basically put this down payment, I guess, with cash. Like he said, his account wouldn't clear it, but I don't know if 80s like were people using credit cards a lot in the 80s.
I guess. I mean, he said
It's
he
it
wrote a
seems like
check
something you
and
do with a credit card.
yeah, he said I think he said he put a check, he wrote the check and it wasn't going to clear if he didn't have the money in the account. It's funny because just in general, right? Like most bonuses, I mean, most people, I guess, would expect it unless you hear you're not getting one. So in fairness to him, he probably expected he was going to get one. But if he put 7,500 down, like what kind of bonus was he really expecting? And considering all the damage to his house, like he's not getting anything. And I know we'll talk about that in a second, but I do have to say this funny story. A couple of years ago, it was probably more than a couple of years ago, my boss at work and my job knows that I love this movie. And for Christmas, very seriously one year, we were going through bonuses and all that kind of stuff, right? And he handed me like a manila folder and like I'm laughing thinking about this. He was very serious and he actually printed out a Jelly of the Month Club like certificate and like wrote my name on it and he gave it to me and that like he gave that to me like and it was a total joke, right? But he was so serious when he gave it to me and I laughed so hard because like I love this movie. I love he's like, it's the gift that keeps on giving. So it was just a really classic moment. And I think about that all the time. In fact, I have it printed out somewhere still and I keep it around because it's just so funny to me. I thought that was a
That's
hilarious thing
great.
that he could do. So
That is awesome that your boss had that sense of humor. That's absolutely incredible, and it's so awesome that you got it. Yes, Arkansas Dave says Jelly of the Month Club,
gift that keeps on
100%.
giving.
It is. And you talk about the boss, Mr. Shirley, is Brian Doyle Murray, Bill
Yep.
Murray's brother, which is a great
Yep.
point. Thanks for pointing that out. Brent says, "Can you need to get the Marty Moosehead mug for your drink next time?" Yeah, I agree, Brent. Yeah, absolutely. And Jay says this movie's been asking for a deep dive since 1989. Thank you for doing this. Terry says Christmas bonuses were more around in the 80s and earlier, like the 60s, not so much now. Maybe they're like pensions.
Yeah,
They really don't exist much anymore.
exactly.
And Arkansas Dave says people wrote hot checks to pay stuff off. Yeah, that's so cool that your boss did that. And I like that concept of the Christmas bonus. And I wouldn't mind a Jelly of the Month Club as long as I wasn't anticipating something better. But yeah, I think we agree, Drew, that he should not have already paid for that. I don't know what the urgency was either. It's just Clark Griswold, I think, jumping the gun. He could have waited till after Christmas.
Yeah,
To put
I
that
mean,
down payment
think
down.
about why did he do it then? He wanted to tell people for Christmas, but he didn't even have the money. And think about it, they're in Chicago, so like it's December in Chicago. Like, how is he gonna? They're not gonna dig for the pool starting January. The ground's frozen. Like they can't. It makes no
Right.
sense. I mean, that's why it's comedic genius, but very irresponsible, Clark Griswold. Very irresponsible.
Yes. That's right. And it's just basic knowledge. And we can share that with everyone. Some of us have learned the hard way. Don't pay for things that you don't have the money to pay for yet. Right. Don't spend
I
money you don't
agree.
have. Yes. Now, talking about money, there's the pool, but there's also quite a lot of damage that was done by Clark's actions, indirectly by Clark's actions. You had things like what? You had the Christmas tree. Initially, you tried to shove it in there. That got burnt. You had what? Damage to the carpet. The cat got fried.
Cat fried.
The guttering, he messed that up. So much damage is done, right? Oh, he falls through the
He
attic.
fell through the attic. That busted up the ceiling, I guess, in I think it was Rusty's room. I think it was the kids' room, right? Because they were in the bunk beds, or probably
Right,
his sons. I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff. Like, I have to go to the list, but I mean, this house was messed up. Like,
right.
this whatever with the pool, like, he's got to fix his house now. All the windows are busted, like you said, from the FBI agents busting through. Like, this place is a mess. It's
And it's going to take a lot of money to fix that.
oh, heck yeah.
Yeah. And so have you ever wondered how much money it would cost, like how much damage was done?
Oh, absolutely. My wife, in fact, as we were watching this, she said to me, "How much the heck? How much did this thing cost? Like, there's no way." And she was tallying up like the windows and stuff as we were watching it. It's like,
Mhm.
there's no way you're putting a pool in, buddy. There's no way.
Well, Drew, it looks like someone has done the work. They have come up with a tally of how much damage was done. So this is an article on apartmenttherapy.com. Thank you for saying this over. And
You're welcome.
we we have basically they've gone through and tallied everything up. Uh, okay, so we can say the windows alone, damage from Christmas tree that the SWAT team's invasion would cost an estimated $1,000 per window, equaling a whopping $10,000 since there are about 10 windows. The blown circuit, on the other hand, would cost an estimated $3,000 after Clark overloaded his outlet with various extension cords for Christmas lights, resulting in a power outage. Then there's the gutter damage. They say that would be about $3,500 before labor costs. And then so they go through it and they tally everything up, including the damage that the SWAT team did, and it's a grand total of over $52,000. That's a lot of money.
How many Christmas bonuses is that? You know, like, it's,
I know. And it's like, I don't know how much exactly it costs to put in a pool, but that seems like it would be probably a bit more than putting in a pool.
that pool's gonna have to wait. I mean, that's a fact right there. I mean, there's no way. I mean, the house was so messed up, and then not to mention maybe Todd and Margo gonna sue him for busting up their house too with the ice sheet that goes in, the carpet's wet. Todd,
Right.
the stereo system's all busted up. Like Jay said, they lost furniture there. The whole when he drove the thing through, man, like the streets messed up, some folks have said. Jay said that as well. Like, this place
Mhm.
is not in great shape here. They might as well move at this point.
I know, 100%. And Ben says, "I'd like Frank Shirley, my boss, here tonight." Yeah, exactly. Right. He'll make it all right, right?
Yeah.
Now, we have to assume that insurance will take care of some of this, but yeah, it's just an absolute disaster as far as costs. Rabana says, would that be 80s money or today's money? That's a good question.
I feel like I need to look at like an inflation calculator. I'm gonna look this up on the side to
Okay,
know what
that's
this
great.
costs. Because that is a
Thank
good
you.
point. Because, man,
Yeah.
but I love how they had like actual like home inspector type people tally this thing up. Like, that is like totally up my alley. Like, that's the kind of stupid stuff I wonder when I watch a movie. Like, it's what Babby and I would do on our show. Like, it's same we're doing it here. Same thing. Like,
Mhm.
I just wonder, like, well, how much did this cost them to fix their house? It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. Terry Johnson says, "Wowzers, that's a lot of money. Poor father's going to be paying it off till he dies." Yes, 100%. Um, you know, this whole thing started, I think, with the damage. The bad vibes started when Clark insisted that they go out and get a Christmas tree, a real Christmas tree, and they ended up traipsing out into the wilderness to chop down the perfect tree, wild tree, and they brought it back. And he forced that into the house, and all these misadventures happen. That tree finally died, when Uncle Lewis set fire to it and it just went poof. And then,
What a
then
shame.
he, yeah, it's an absolute total shame. Then he goes out and he chops down another tree from the yard, which ends up damaging Margo and Todd's place. And then he brings that inside, and there's a squirrel in it that they find later. So this makes me think of how important is it, Drew, to have this perfect Christmas, whatever that idea that is for your family, and how important is it to have those must-have holiday traditions? And for some people, that does include a live tree. And is that something that your family always had, was a live tree, or did you skew towards an artificial tree?
We've always had artificial trees growing up. I've never had a live one. However, I've had some family members that have. And to me, look, I don't know the I guess the nostalgia of having a live tree, but I know, like, for example, my great aunt had one, and we would go to her house and she would have one, and she'd have the water bowl underneath and all that stuff. But the needles would be falling. I mean, it smelled nice. It was a nice thing. You could smell the pine and all that, but the needles are falling. There's all kinds of like things you got to do to take care of it, and then you got to throw it outside. And I don't know. I know, like, when people talk about the sustainability, like, I guess live trees actually sometimes are more sustainable than trying to have some fake ones, but we've always had a fake one growing up. I have a fake one right now upstairs. It's just easier for me. You put it away, you take it out next year. I don't know. Did you have a real one or artificial one growing up?
It's interesting. We always had an artificial one growing up, and recently my sisters have been into having a live tree.
Mhm.
But all of those things that you mentioned, for me, I just don't. I'll be honest with you. I was in the Boy Scouts, and
Mhm.
what our troop did after Christmas is we'd go around and we'd do the Christmas tree pickup. So we'd offer that as a service to people, where we go around, pick up their trees, and dispose of them. And ever since then, I have not liked that process whatsoever. That turned me off to the entire process of disposing live Christmas trees, and then also. The process of picking one out, that's nice. You have to get it back. So either you strap it onto the roof of your car or whatever, and then you put it in the holder thing, and then you have to feed it water,
And you blow
and
out
you're
your
right. You
windows.
occasionally blow out your windows. That's a con. It smells nice, but there's a lot of sap, as we see
Yeah.
in the movie. And you're right about the needles falling to the ground. It seems like a lot of maintenance and too much work, I think, versus an artificial tree, which it has the look, it's dependable, you don't have to keep it alive, and you get to keep it, and you don't have to keep spending money every year.
I agree with you. Like, I understand the tradition though. Like, when they in the movie, right, when they go out and
Yes,
get it, like that, the act of going out and getting it as a family and picking your tree, like, I can understand it because I think
right.
there's something cool about that. People make a day of it. A lot of people, will do it the day after Thanksgiving or something like that, where they do that as a family. We just never did that. But I guess if you grew up doing that, I can understand why that would be such a fun thing because it kicks off. Because I mean, like, a lot of what the holiday season about is to me and to others, right, is spending time with your family. And I think the positive of doing that, I guess, is that it forces you to kind of stop and say, all right, we're gonna go get this tree and we're gonna go out and have it. But I agree with you, all of the other aspects to me, like, the second I have it and I do it, now I'm like, "Oh, geez, now I gotta take care of this thing," and, whereas, like, my wife and I, we could put it up one day and then it doesn't matter when we take it down, maybe we leave it up a little longer. I think back in the day, when I used to live with my friend Badway, we had it up for, like, half the year because we just left it up. We just,
Right, right,
we had, like, starting lineups and Eagles, like, figures all over it because 'cause we're big football fans. We had an Eagles helmet on the top instead of a star. But,
right.
it's like, I guess it's all about how you grew up, and I don't know, I never wanted to change ours. I never said I wanna be somebody that goes out and gets the tree now. There was no reason for me to do that, I guess.
Right. And we have some comments about their own experiences. Rabana says, we have always had live trees at our place. The pine smell is pretty nostalgic, but live trees don't look as pretty as the fake ones do.
Yeah.
Interesting. Brent says, just put up a real tree this past weekend. We used to cut them down at a tree farm, but then I got tired of listening to the kids complaining about having to haul the tree back half a mile. That's interesting. Wow. So that's the full experience. Yeah, it's I guess like Clark wants it to be. It can be a truly great bonding experience going, and you don't know what you're going to get. It's a special, unique tree every year. I can see the appeal of that. So let's see what else. Ben says, I love real trees. We've been putting up artificial ones more recently, though. Watching Elf every single night is a tradition.
That's awesome.
Interesting. Marianella says, here in Argentina, it's very common to have artificial Christmas trees since we're in the middle of summer. Yep.
That's a good point. I mean, I like a lot of folks were mentioning the smell too. I do love the smell of pine trees. Like I think that is a very nostalgic smell. A couple of years ago, we got these things. It's funny, right? We have a fake tree, and you can hang them on the tree, and they smell like pine. So it's like funny. But we had those, and it was nice to smell the pine tree. And I think that's a good point, Marianella. Like you might not be able to get a tree where you are, right? So it's cool to be able to have the artificial ones.
Absolutely. And Terry says, we used to have live trees, but there are a lot of maintenance, cleaning up every day. That's true as well. That's true as well. Well, this movie, Christmas Vacation, is so good at pinpointing all of these holiday traditions that we can all key into, and all of these situations that we could probably relate to, including the family. So, Drew, this movie definitely focuses on Clark Griswold's family, much more so, of course, than the other vacation movies. They actually come over and live with them for a number of days, at least a week before Christmas. What do you think of in this movie when you think of the family? Can you relate to any of these hijinks that happen? I don't know. What are your thoughts on the whole family relationships?
I hope my family's not watching right now. So, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I guess growing up, I live in the same area as my family. So for us, it was more we would do something the night of Christmas Eve, and then we would go home and then back to my own house. And then the next day we would go to another family member's house. We never like stayed over for an excessive period of time. I do that now because my wife's family lives further away from us, so we'll stay there for a few days, and it's nice to be part of the family traditions in both sides. I think the interesting thing though is like in this movie, what was it? They stayed for like 10 days at least, which I was just thinking about this the whole time. Like, why the heck did they go so early? It made no sense.
I know. It sounds like a bad idea. Like, I know some people's families get along really well, but oh my goodness, having that many people from both sides of the family together in one house for that long. Wow.
That's a recipe for you know what you're asking for? You're asking for people to be mad at each other and for the windows to get blown out and the lights to blow up. Like that's the kind of thing that happens. And the dynamic between him and his in-laws is hilarious to me too, because his father-in-law just like constantly putting him down, and like whatever he does is never good enough. And the lights like so disappointed with them. He's just so disappointed and he feels like a failure. But Clark's parents are so supportive of him, and they're like, oh,
Right.
I'm sure it's good. Like I love the dynamic of that, and I thought that was really funny. But man, having anyone in your house that doesn't live there for more than 10 days in a especially at the holiday time with high stress, like
Right.
if I was him, it's like where you go like to work, he's going to work. Like he probably was happy to go because he gets away from the craziness that's going on. And man, the dynamic between the people was nuts. So I just thought it was written well, though, as we said before with John Hughes. So good. So
Oh, absolutely. And I wonder if this is kind of going back to a time maybe before people flew a lot. Maybe they're coming from far away, and sort of to make the trip worth it, they would maybe stay, at someone's house. I don't know. That's just a guess, but I don't know. It's kind of a quaint idea. It's also kind of like an ideal that, I would love to happen, where everyone can come together and live in the
yeah,
same place for a while. But yeah, for our family, no. I mean, we would see people on the holiday. That's it. We wouldn't we wouldn't be spending that much time together. I don't think it would have been possible.
Yeah,
But
I think
as wonderful as everyone is.
yeah, spending a few days absolutely is great, but
Right.
like weeks is like a lot for anybody, even the hosts, right? Like I wouldn't want to be like a burden on people for weeks. It's like you almost feel bad,
Right.
that they can't do what they want to do. And the thing that I thought was interesting was, Clark has this idea of what Christmas is, and he's an idealist, right? And that's I think why we all like him and we all live vicariously through the guy because it's a special time of year and you
Right.
wanna be with your family. And he's sort of oblivious to the fact like, "Oh, hey, maybe people are gonna fight. Maybe this isn't gonna happen." But the thing that I think is the biggest violation is he wants everyone to come, and then he purposefully, like, avoids everybody the whole movie. He's either at work or he's
Right.
outside, and his poor wife is, like, dealing with all the craziness in the house, and he's out putting the lights up the whole day. Like, he dumps them on her, and I feel like that's a violation. That's not cool. Like, he needs to be there
I know.
supporting, right?
Yeah, and that's the one thing throughout all these movies, mostly, except maybe during a little bit in Vegas Vacation. She's like really supportive, of him and just puts on a smile and yeah, she's kind of like a superwoman in a way.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're
No
absolutely
wonder
right about
no wonder Wayne
what
Newton liked her so much, you know?
right, exactly, yes. Until he started cooking pasta.
Yeah, exactly.
Jay Wiggins says a nice touch. You get to see the characters younger in that home video
I
footage.
like
Yes,
that.
100%.
I thought that
Uh,
was cool.
Brent says, "Is Rusty still in the Navy?" One of the best lines in the movie. Totally reminds me of my great aunt Bernice, who would ask how my brother Carlton was doing. Only my brother's name is Clayton. Yep, exactly. I know it's amazing how we can all relate to these family members, which makes me realize that John Hughes knew that maybe people recycled, families recycled, and
Yeah.
we have more shared experiences than we'd think.
I think that's the best part about the holidays, though. Like, as much as everyone's family on some level drives them nuts, it's your family, you're lucky to have the people that you have in your life, and I feel like this movie does a good job, like, no matter how much they're sort of all at each other's throats, they're still together, right? And they're still having a good time. Like, even if the turkey's busted up or people are, they're still trying to have a good time because they're together. And I feel like that's the best part about, and that's why I think, I love Thanksgiving and everything, but at the same time, the holidays after, like when Christmas is over, I feel like this weird depression sets in because it's like, oh, well, that was like the cold of winter, at least in the Northeast here. And you almost
Mhm.
feel like, okay, well, what's next? You have nothing till spring. And the high of Christmas and the high of that kind of hits you low after. And I love spending time with my family, my wife's family, like our families. And I think that's why I like this movie so much because, like I said, as much as people kind of drive each other nuts in some family dynamics, you're still all family, right?
Right, right. Yes, absolutely. And that's, I think you've pinpointed one of the enduring qualities of this movie. Um, Robana says, our family had a tradition of going to an outdoor live nativity pageant that our church puts on every year on Christmas Eve. That's
That's
very
awesome.
nice. That's awesome. That's great. Jay Wiggin brings up a great point. Cousin Eddie's entrance was perfect, just when you thought everyone had already arrived. And I love that because it's just at the moment of Clark Griswold's victory. He's so happy. Finally, everything's just falling into place. And then Eddie shows up amidst all the bright
Right there.
lights and display right there. Really amazing. And so, Drew, uh, obviously, cousin Eddie, we first were introduced to in the original Vacation movie. In this one, he comes back. So we have Randy Quaid back as cousin Eddie. And I was wondering if you could give your thoughts on just this character and what he means to like movies in general and this franchise.
I love Cousin Eddie. I love Randy Quaid. I know he sort of he's controversial now for all the whatever's going on with him. But man, Cousin Eddie is so funny in this movie because and you nailed it. And I think, you guys said it in the chat perfectly. Just when everything's going great and just when everything's good, this wild card shows up. And there's no better way to describe this guy than a wild card. Like if you haven't seen this movie, you kind of need to see him. And there's like these subtle aspects of the humor to him. So when he's wearing the turtleneck, but it's not actually a turtleneck and it's sort of like a bib turtleneck, but he's wearing a white sweater, so you can see the fact that it's not actually a turtleneck. Like, it's very subtle, but that is freaking hilarious. Like, that's so funny. And when he's messing with the little spinning thing with the candles, and he takes it out and it just falls apart, and he just, goes to the store. He's putting 10 bags of, 50-pound dog food on the thing, taking advantage of Clark. Like, he's not self-aware. Like, I guess he has no self-awareness. And I just think he's so funny. And I think a couple of people said it in the chat, but the line that he says as he's emptying the septic tank, I won't say it on here because
You're
I
right.
don't want your YouTube to get flagged, but the bleeper's all full. Like, I
Right.
say that sometimes just randomly to myself. Like, I think the Cousin Eddie character has like totally permeated pop culture. And it is just, he is just classic to me. And but he's a good guy, because at the end of the day, what Clark wanted Mr. Shirley at his house tonight. What happened? Mr. Shirley in his house that night. So he kind of
Yep.
is the hero of the movie in a way, right? Because he kind of
Right.
saved everything. So I love him. I know some people might get uncomfortable watching him because it's like a discomfort thing, but I just think he's so funny.
Yeah, I think he is too. Robana echoes that. The blank is full is one of
It's
the best
awful.
lines. It is. And it's funny because he's got this angle. I guess it's the same angle that's from the original movie, but if you watch, he has this angle where he and Catherine arrive and they want stuff. They want to mooch, they want money, they want all those types of things. And you can tell that they may have like kind of set their kids up to kind of play the pity card so that they could get the Griswolds to buy their kids presents for Christmas. And I think it's just an amazing touch at the end when Clark gets his Christmas bonus and he's like, I've just got my Christmas bonus, and Clark hugs his wife. And then at the exact same moment, Eddie's there next to Catherine and they hug each other the same way. Like,
They're happy.
oh, this is great for us. Yeah, this is great for us. We're going to get that money too. And yeah, Randy Quaid, just an amazing, just singular performance as Cousin Eddie. And I know that they did a sequel, Christmas Vacation 2,
right?
focused on Eddie. Did you ever see that movie?
I've not. I know it exists, but I have not seen it. It's kind of like Jingle All the Way too with Larry, Larry the Cable Guy. I haven't seen it. Have you?
Yeah. No, I haven't seen it. I'm curious. I know it's like a made-for-TV movie, and it probably isn't that amazing. But supposedly, the actress who played Audrey in the original Vacation movie plays her again.
Oh, really?
in-
I need to
yeah,
watch this now. I feel like I need to see it.
yeah, me too. We'll find it. We'll find it online somehow. Melissa says, Ken and Drew, my favorite part of Christmas is decorating the tree and going through all of the old ornaments that my brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews made and remembering fondly when we made them. That's very nice.
I love that. Like, I think, I would love to hear what everyone else's favorite parts are too. There's a lot of great moments of Christmas. I think for me, it's being with the family when you can be, and all that stuff. But we have, like, my wife and my daughter will set up the tree, stuff like that, listening to Christmas music. We have this sort of inside joke in my family. I guess years ago, one of my family members used to have a Josh Groban CD, and it would
Mhm.
like play on repeat, like over and over. So we sort of like put that on, and when my daughter was young, I would put that on, and like now I just put that on all the time. And my brother does it too. Like, he'll do it with his kids, and it's like a funny thing, but it's also nice because it's Christmas music.
Right.
And I'm a big, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I'm a big metalhead, and I love. There's a band out there called August Burns Red, and they have a Christmas album, so I listen to that every year too. But for me, I love the Christmas music and the lead up to it. Like, I love that stuff. And watching football if the Eagles are on too. That's my other tradition. So
That's a fantastic tradition. Very, very cool. I love that. Especially with the Josh Groban music, because you're right. It's like you can't, even if you wouldn't listen to Josh Groban, it's like
right.
it's the perfect thing. It's
When
the
else
perfect
do you
thing.
listen to that? Right? It's like
Right. Yes, exactly. Josh says in 1989, Santa Claus didn't give Christmas gift to Mr. Miyagi because the guy with the ponytail was in his fireplace. Indeed, yes. Those of you who watch this channel know very well who Josh is
Oh,
talking about.
it's you can say
Yeah.
unless he was playing, he was Santa. He's Santa all along, and we didn't know. That's why he was in the fireplace.
Yes, it would be very interesting to see what Terry Silver would give for a Christmas bonus if he does that kind of thing. Um, that's so funny. And Terry chimes in, drinking the tears of Terry's enemies. Ken came out their support for Silver. Yes, indeed. Brent is also a huge metalhead.
That's
He's
awesome.
taught me a lot. I still don't know just a millionth as much as he does, but yeah,
Brent,
he's very much
we'll
so.
have to talk. We'll have to talk.
Yes, 100%. Um, so Drew, as you're looking back on this movie, what other things really stand out to you?
I
What are
think
the things you look forward to every year?
oh man, I just love like I know it's silly, but I actually love the opening credits. I don't know if you like that or not. Some people, just get on with the movie. But I love the song and it's got its own song and the cartoon intro and then it sort of plays into the outro too. You don't really see that in a lot of movies and I feel like it sets the movie up for you when you're watching it because you're getting ready for it. And I love that aspect of this movie. I don't know what you think about it, but some people don't like that. They're like, just get on with the movie. But I think it makes the movie to me. But did you like that part?
Oh, I loved it. I think it's great. You have, the montages with Holiday Road, Lindsey Buckingham song, which are fine, they set up the movie just fine. But I like it when movies kind of go the extra length to deliver an opening sequence that's entertaining. It's like a story of its own. And I think it really sets up the tone of the movie really well. It's this comedic slapstick. As a kid watching that, that's the first time that I saw a cartoon that really puts Santa in peril in kind of a funny way. And so that's kind of an interesting idea that, it introduces the idea that Clark is going to put Christmas in peril. And that's what we can kind of look forward to. And it's a fun song. It was created just for this movie. And it's not too short. It's not too long. I really liked that opening.
Yeah, I love that part. And the other part we didn't talk about a ton was I love the sledding part of this movie too,
Yes. Yes.
because, people have mentioned this, but Clark sort of subtly hurling insults at Eddie. Like he says some funny stuff to him there about was it the plastic plate in his head or whatever? But I
Right.
love like because I don't recall in the first one, you have to remind me, but they never really said what he did for a job, did they in the first one? And this one, did they ever say it? I don't remember. I can't
Who
recall.
Clark Griswold?
Yeah. Did they say in
Yeah.
the first one?
No, they never really got into it. And yeah, you're right. This one is great because you really kind of get into the characters,
Especially
including
the
what he
way
does.
yeah, especially the way that he put the lubricant on the sled and what that
Yes.
actually did was funny. So I grew up in Pennsylvania and I'm in the Northeast here, and we didn't have Walmart where we were. So like when I saw Walmart, I'm like, what the heck's Walmart? I know Walmart's huge, right? And we have it now. But when I grew up, we didn't have that here, or at least that I recall. And it was funny like seeing Walmart because they were in Walmart a couple times, either the outside of the parking lot and then when they were buying the dog food. But I love the sledding scene because some people do that. They go sledding as a family, and, like, the
Mhm.
fact that he put a little science into it was hilarious.
Right. And that was so funny to me because you're right. He was coating that with like some kind of compound he created, like they created at work to make things super slippery. But in the first scene, you see him talking about like cereal additives as well. Like it's like, what are they making? What are they putting in this cereal? Anyway, that was pretty funny.
Only in the
Um,
'80s, right?
Oh, only in the '80s, and I love that sledding scene. I love that type of humor where, it's just this kind of, "Oh, we're just putting this on here, we're gonna go down fast," and then out of nowhere, he just, like, goes boom, like, down the m it's just so funny. It's, like, out of nowhere, and he's just going a million miles an hour. Um, Absolutely hilarious, and winds up in the Walmart parking lot, which I thought was funny, and watching it this time, I'm like, I wonder if that's a reference to the fact that after the original movie, people started calling Walmart Wally World. And
Ah,
so I'm wondering if that was kind of like a full
that's a
circle.
good point. I guess I did never thought about that. That's
Right,
a really good point, and they put in a little product placement in there too.
right. Yes, exactly.
Man,
Um,
that's funny.
yeah, really great stuff. And just, we talk about the funny things, but there are a lot of heartfelt scenes. Like
Oh,
I kind
yeah.
of felt for Clark when it didn't work, when he strung up all those lights and took all that time and it didn't work. And he kind of was disappointed and looked like a failure in front of his parents and in-laws. Yeah, there are just like touching moments like that. And when he's, talking to Ruby Sue, who's talking about Santa and that Santa isn't coming this year. And, just there are those nice little sweet moments, I think, that help anchor the movie.
I definitely agree with you, and, like, some folks in the chat had already mentioned this, but when he's watching the home videos from when he was growing up, and, like, you can see why Christmas is so important to him, and the holiday season, like, he had that video of him with the sled and his mom and his dad and his uncle and some other folks, right? Like, he's up there sentimentally watching this stuff, reliving it, and he just wants to give that to his family, and I know I've seen Terry says in the chat, right? Christmas sadly isn't as deep and sentimental as it used to be with so much feeling. Like I've gone through those phases too, where you grow up and you're a kid and it's like Christmas is so magical, right? You feel this like magic in the air. And then you get older and you start to just kind of like whatever, I guess, certain people stop coming to the holidays or maybe people pass away unfortunately or it's just not the same. And you go through that phase and I personally went through that for a while where it's like I guess in my 20s it's kind of like, well, what is Christmas? It's a cool time. I have some vacation from work but
Mhm.
now, I mean, I have a 6-year-old now, and I think the cool thing about, being fortunate to have, to have her to live through this with is, like, watching her and seeing the magic of Christmas through my daughter, and, like, there's something really cool about that, and it sort of re-energized me, for Christmas again because I can give her we can try to give her the Christmas that we used to have, and the same anyone where you have kids in your family or something where they see the magic of Santa Claus and stuff like that. I think I kind of feel like Clark in that regard, where it's like he wants to have this day and give people this special, you know, I don't know, season, I guess. And I think I can relate to what you're saying though, Terry, because I feel like I've gone through that too. And it's just starting to round that again now with living it through my daughter. So definitely can relate to that.
Yes, and Melissa says it's funny how things have changed. It's like no one wants to bother reminiscing about the moments when we were so young. Everyone just wants to get Christmas traditions over with. And it's a very interesting point because I'm wondering if that's maybe the appeal of a movie like Christmas Vacation. It's deep down we would wish that our father or ourselves, would go
Yep.
to these crazy lengths to just make a great holiday that everyone will remember and pass on to their kids.
Yeah. I mean, I just think you even think about I know Christmas isn't about the gifts, right? But, for the most part, people exchange gifts on Christmas. And I think about when I was growing up and my parents and like, we joked about Jingle All the Way in the beginning. It's like like going how he had to do and now I'm not saying he was a good father because he did it like the day before Christmas. So that's different. But
Right.
like when I was growing up, I give a good example. We talked about Power Rangers before. I loved Power Rangers growing up. I have no idea how my parents did it, but they somehow got me like the Power Rangers, and it was like you could not find them. I have no idea how they did it. Amazon didn't exist. Don't know how they did it.
Mhm.
But I remember the feeling of like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. And I know how hard that probably was for them, And now as like someone in my 30s, I mean, I've always appreciated it, but you appreciate it on another level. And it's a silly gift, but it's like they try to do that to make it something for you because they knew how bad you wanted something. And, whatever it took for them to do that, you really appreciate it. And even just like getting together, making an event for them, having the event itself, it's not always about the gifts, but having a nice day and like how hard people work to make that moment what it is. And to get people together, it's a lot and people put a lot of time and effort into it. And I think that's what makes it so good because everyone, cares about each other and you kind of see that and it's a special thing. So I don't know. There's my sentimental rant of the day.
Yeah, you're right. It's so much easier nowadays. You can just, with a few clicks, order things. But back in the day, you're right. If you're a parent, you have to do serious footwork if you're going to get that, untouchable toy for your kids. Yeah, it really a showing of devotion and love. Ben says we always have Christmas Eve dinner at my aunt's house and then go to church. Always look forward to it. Yeah, that's really
That's
nice. That's
awesome.
great. Um, let's see what else we've got. Josh says, no smartphones, no internet, family, food, and love. We were happier than now, and we didn't know it.
I
It's
agree with
it's
that.
a yeah, it's a great point. And here's I'm getting to that age now where I feel like I agree with these sentiments, but imagining myself younger, it would be something that older people would say. It's like, it's not like it was when I was young. It was so
TV,
much
right?
better yeah. Like, do you think it's true? Is it better was it better back then than it is now? Or is it just something generational that every generation is going to say?
I think it's a really good question because I think as part of the generation that I think I'm 38, right? So I grew up, I was born in 84. So growing up, like I experienced the beginning of the internet. I experienced, the MTV generation. There's like this weird, it's almost like as a, I guess, older millennial, like you have this weird thing where you've experienced so much change in such a rapid period of time and it's only more exponential. I do think that there's something to be said for like the lack of connectedness made you almost more connected with the people. You think about and honestly, like me, even personally, like I've actually not been on social media a lot lately. Like I haven't really looked at Twitter. Like I look at it when I kind of need to, but I and it's not like on purpose. It just I haven't done it, and I feel like it has made me a little bit mentally healthier. And I think, you're almost like spending more time with the family. So think about like Christmas dinner back in the day, like Josh was saying, you're hanging out with your family. Nobody's on their phone. Nobody's like staring at their phone, looking at Reddit or whatever, texting people
Right.
that aren't there. Not that you couldn't be on the phone calling somebody, but I do think it sort of inherently made you almost more connected. Now, I guess you could escape to your room and just leave, but it was a lot harder to do that. So, but I also am a fan of the internet and I like having it. So I don't want to go back to the to the age without it. It's really
Yeah.
hard.
Yep. Excellent. Those are some excellent points because I did find that, when it came to say movies or TV shows or toys or just things going on in the world, maybe I'd see something in a newspaper or magazine, but really it was from talking about it with my family and my friends. Like
Mhm.
that's what made the most difference to me was like, did my friends like it? Did my family like it? You know, was it something we enjoyed doing together? Whereas now it's, you don't need to go to your friends necessarily for that. You can go to the internet. You can, I don't know, say, watch this live stream,
Yeah.
and just, which is great because you connect, we're all connected and it's amazing being connected with all of you. But, it is a different experience than being like in the same room with people
Yeah.
and spending time with them and not being distracted by like news coming in like that all the time.
Yeah, I definitely feel like sometimes information overload, especially with like messaging apps and all these different things. Like and now I'm sounding like an old man, but I mean I love using like this. Right, we met so many great people through this community. Like there's so many people we wouldn't even be able to physically talk to, all over the world. Right, and I think that that's cool. But I do think you did say it right. Like it's harder because you appreciate things as much if you could just pop it on Netflix and then turn it off halfway through. Like we talked about in the beginning, you go to the video store. If I paid for that movie, damn it, I'm watching the whole thing. Now I get like, I don't know if anyone ever does this, but sometimes I get this like analysis paralysis where I'll just scroll through Netflix for like an hour and then I never pick anything and then I just go to bed. Like that's
Mhm.
pathetic, isn't it? But there's so many choices. And I mean,
Right.
it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing and a curse.
Right. And that is the one thing about the video store. Getting up off the couch, driving to a store, it's like you've made a commitment. You're going to get something. You're going to get
Yep.
something at the video store. Whereas on Netflix, yeah, you can just scroll through and not eventually watch anything. Brent says he has a similar story to you. My parents always seemed to find me the best He-Man and Transformers gifts when I was a kid. I'm so appreciative. So for that reason, I work real hard to get my kids what they dream about. That's great.
That's awesome.
Brent says they probably had to spend some serious time at KB Toys. Yes,
Man, I love
indeed.
KB toys.
Oh, it was so wonderful. It was so expensive, but it
It
was
was.
so wonderful. Robana says, or Toys R Us. I was not really allowed to go into Toys R Us very much because I think I would want everything in that
Me
store. I'll
too.
have to ask why that was. Marianella says Drew's story reminded me of the movie Jingle All the Way, one of my favorite movies. Well, Drew, you
I
guys
love
did an
that.
amazing discussion of that
That is one
last
of
for our
my
podcast.
favorite movies, Marianella. I watch that every Christmas too. I think, we talked about A Christmas Story recently, and I think, when we did our favorite, nostalgic movies, I forgot what we talked about, but the I think it was TNT. They started showing that one 24 hours a day when I think something else or TBS was showing A Christmas Story 24 hours. And I love Arnold Schwarzenegger, so give me Jingle All the Way all the day, all day long. I'll watch that like 10 times in a row. It's a great movie. Great movie.
It definitely was. Flip the Script says 80s Christmas was all about movies and board games and chocolate coins. Yeah, yeah, that's right. So, of different qualities.
Yes.
Yes, yes, indeed. Um, Robana says, Drew, that's the modern equivalent of channel surfing with Netflix. It is.
It is.
Well, Drew, we had an amazing discussion about what makes movies comfort movies. And there's a link to that in the description, that whole discussion. And we had another discussion about what makes movies classic. Now, Christmas Vacation, when it first came out, it did well. You know, we it had pretty good response. Obviously, Siskel and Ebert didn't like it. So I think after it came out, I don't know if anyone would have called it a classic. But my question to you is now, is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation a classic movie, a Christmas classic, and or is it a comfort movie? What do you say?
I think I'm gonna say, how do I put these together? It's a cultural Christmas comfort classic in my it's all of them. I think it's all of them because I think I could probably watch this movie in June and still enjoy it because it will
Right.
bring me the feeling of Christmas. It is a comfort movie in that it makes me feel the joy of the holiday season. It's a classic in that I think I could watch it anytime. And it really is just a great Christmas movie overall because it takes place at Christmas. It touches on a lot of the different things that makes Christmas what it is or isn't for a lot of people. And I feel like it's in the pantheon to me of Christmas movies. It's on the Mount Rushmore, like this one, Christmas Story, Jingle All the Way to me. And there's some
Right.
others up there, like probably Elf and Home Alone. But it's up there. It's a heavy hitter, and I can't say enough good things about this movie. It's in my yearly rotation for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And I have to say something about John Hughes. For whatever reason, as a writer, as a filmmaker, he was able to really key in to these warm comfort family stories, but also these holiday stories. You have this movie, the following year, you had Home Alone. You also had Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is now the quintessential Thanksgiving movie. He really seemed to understand these universal truths that we all go through and what we want to keep returning to, these ideas we need to keep returning to year after year. And I don't know if there's a modern equivalent to John Hughes. I guess hopefully we can look out for that because it'd be nice, but he really had a magic touch. And I think this movie has that magic touch. And I love watching it every time. I laugh every time. And it's always just fun. And it is my favorite vacation movie.
Yeah. Oh, I 100% agree with you. And all the comments you said about Hughes, we've said it on a bunch of streams here, but he just understands dynamics and how to write people. And, I think he proved that with all the stuff that he did. And man, the guy's got he had it has an amazing resume here. It's just it speaks for itself, right? All of his great movies and the way he rates people and dynamics. And this one's a perfect example of that. Add the Christmas factor on top of it, and it's even better.
Yes, yes, indeed. Josh says sometimes a Christmas movie isn't a comfort movie. And I would say probably Christmas movies, they all try to be comfort movies, except for maybe like Bad Santa or something like that.
Yeah.
But not all achieve that. For instance, I'll just throw out Christmas with the Cranks. I just don't think it doesn't work. There are a few that really work as comfort movies that you want to return to and watch again, I think.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Because even we just did 4 Christmases, and like it was fine. Like it was a fun movie. But am I rushing out to go watch that in Christmas 2023? Probably not. But I'll watch this one. I mean, it was fine. It's a good movie, but not one of my favorites. Like, it doesn't sit in the classic territory, although it was good. So I agree with that.
Yes. Lupo Music says 5 a.m. here. I can't sleep and I see myself at a KenCast. Nice. My goodness, Lupo. Thanks for joining us so early where you are for our discussion. Ben says, I love Home Alone 1 and 2. So funny, but has the heart and captures that Christmas spirit. Yeah. Really, really great. And you've covered that on the Last Row podcast as well.
Definitely. I love Home Alone's such a classic movie. Again, like the dynamic of the people and the Christmas spirit, like you said, Ben. Totally agree. 100%.
Yes. Robana says Krampus. What a fun movie.
I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen it. That's so interesting. Melissa, have to go. Everyone, have a great night. Happy holidays. Thanks for joining us, Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Same to you. Jay Wiggins says, I saw Deck the Halls this year for the first time. It was a movie. That's all I can say. Yep, indeed. Flip the Script says Gremlins and Ernest Saves Christmas are classic Christmas movies too. Yes, and I have special affection for Ernest Saves Christmas. I love that movie.
Ernest is awesome. I love those. The Halloween one was always one that I liked watched growing up, and the Christmas one's really good too. That's a great one.
Yes. And Josh says John Hughes, also Tim Burton and Rob Reiner comfort movies. Yeah, other really great filmmakers. Arkansas Dave says, Ken, there's another vacation movie with Clark called Vacation in 2015. Yes, that was the one with Ed Helms, I think, starring in that. And Christina Applegate. I have not seen that one. But I know
it's
that
Rusty, right? He's like grown up now or something. Is that what? I've not seen it myself.
Yes. Well, we'll have to check that out. Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for joining in the live chat. It's been amazing listening to your Christmas stories and what you guys do for your holiday traditions, and also what your favorite Christmas movies are. Drew, thank you for joining me tonight and giving me your perspective, giving us all your perspective on National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I have a feeling we could keep talking about this for another 2 hours. Maybe someday we'll have to. Maybe next year.
Next year, 23. No, right. Thank you for having me, Ken, and thanks to all the awesome comments. And I loved hearing about everybody's Christmas traditions, favorite movies and stuff. I say this every time I'm on here, and I mean it every time, but this community is awesome. Everyone in here, thank you guys so much for sharing all those things, and thanks for having me as part of this. It's always an honor to be part of the KenCast here.
Thank you. Well, the honor is all ours. Ed, thank you all for your live comments. If you're not watching this live, if you're watching on the replay, go ahead and put a comment down below the video. We all read through those comments as well. Also, if you enjoy this, please go ahead and hit subscribe and like and the notification bell so you don't miss anything going forward. Plus, it helps the channel grow and helps us grow our amazing community, which I totally agree with Drew. You guys are just absolutely fantastic. And we look forward to new live streams going forward, new videos going forward. But in case we miss any of you, I want to wish you all a very happy holidays. And Drew, I want to wish you a very happy holidays.
Thank you. Well. Same to you and everyone out there. Happy holidays, and hope you all have a wonderful time with your family. And same to you, Ken. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Drew, good luck if you want to watch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It is on, I think, HBO Max right
HBO
now,
Max.
Right?
Yes, I also own it.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, and then we'll be looking forward to your new Last Row podcast before Christmas, and look forward to having you back, Drew. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a great night. Merry Christmas and happy holidays.
Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you too.
Thank you for joining us tonight. And we look forward to seeing you next time on KenCast.